Hello, BookTube. I've got some mail for you today on a wonderful, surprisingly dramatic Monday. You wouldn't think I'd have any drama, since I'm an old coot who reads all day long on his fainting couch, but nevertheless, drama sometimes finds its way to me. I had an exchange with an editor first thing this morning, started business on Monday. We were discussing another book that I might review, and he said, should I get a copy or should you? And I practically stammered a reply saying, are you suggesting that I buy a book? Oh, he didn't go so far as to suggest that, fortunately. But that was a shock to the system. And then on one of our dog walks, earlier today, it was much sunnier. The sun has once again gone away. The sun goes away when I make videos. On one of our dog walks earlier today, the Bean and I came across a wonderful, big, plump black lab. And he didn't know quite what to do because Frida was all stiff and wondering if she should call in the Wehrmacht or whatnot. And then finally he decided, he made the same decision. I talk about this all the time. He made the same decision that dogs always seem to do. I can see them make the decision, and I always want to jump in and say, no, baby boy, don't do it. I saw the look on his face as he decided, well, I don't know what's wrong with her, but play. And he started to try to play with her. He was like 10 times her size, and that did not go over well at all. I had to call him over and say, I hugged his head and I pressed my face against his. I said, you're not doing anything wrong. It's not you. So there was a little bit of drama. There you go. And there might be drama in this mail haul, for all I know. Start with a periodical. The National Review. I have a feeling the more I read this, the more I think that David Murphy got me to subscribe to this thing so that he could have the pleasure of it irritating me. I think that's probably why he did it. But the National Review starts off every issue. Let me show you what I mean. They start off every issue with little bits and pieces, all bulleted with a little black square there, where they have an editorial board. These are unsigned. An editorial board goes through the news of the week, or the news of the month, in a political scale, with a political spectrum. The National Review is a conservative publication, and they're not at all enamored of Trumpism, but they are very proudly the old school conservatism. So a lot of these early fusillades are done with a kind of partisan zest that's meant to be sharp-elbowed but still good-natured raillery, and I usually take it that way. They almost never overstep the line, but they did in this issue. I want to read you an example of what this is like. I won't read you the whole of it because it's a little bit stomach-turning. Look to Arizona, for example. That state's Supreme Court upheld an abortion ban that makes an exception only to save the life of the mother. It has been in every version of the Arizona Criminal Code since first enacted by the territorial legislature in 1864. Arizona voters will likely vote this November on a referendum that would deem abortion, quote, a fundamental right up to 24 weeks. A hard lesson for pro-lifers since Dobbs. Voters do not endorse philosophical consistency on life, even if they respect that consistency in public officials. The pro-abortion side has won 7 straight ballot questions in other states, even as pro-life governors and senators have been roundly re-elected. I don't know if you're paying close attention here, but there's a lot of explicit lying going on here, which never happens in these opening fusillades. They twist and dance around the truth, but they don't just lie. The writer of this piece, and it's said a couple of other times in this issue, is trying to have you believe that Dobbs is not a disaster for Republicans running for election. The writer is trying to make you believe that. The Arizona law, this is the line that got to me. We can stop shortly after this. The Arizona law is legally, philosophically, and morally defensible, but politically indefensible in a swing state in 2024. It will lose at the ballot box if Republicans cannot convince the state's voters that rejecting the referendum will result in a legislative compromise. There are a lot of lies in here. The writer of this piece, obviously a man, mentions, for instance, that this referendum from before Arizona was a state and before women were citizens has been in every version of Arizona Criminal Code since it was first enacted. That's not true. There were emendations to that referendum that were in Arizona Criminal Code ever since, but not this. What was resoundingly reaffirmed in the Arizona legislature just recently, you might have seen film footage of lawmakers applauding, is the original version. And the writer here is very careful to say that it makes no exceptions for abortion except in terms of the life of the mother. And that's absolutely true. That 1864 referendum does not make any concessions on behalf of the health of the mother, just her life. If she's going to die, then you can abort the fetus. If she's not going to die, well, then the answer is no. At any point in the pregnancy, if she's not going to die, then you don't abort. That is not, what was the line? Legally, philosophically, and morally defensible. The writer of this piece would have you believe that it's just because of election year swing state politics that this is not popular. That this kind of stance is going to cost you elections. Okay, I guess we'll see. Pretty maddening. Even though the back half of this issue is full of book reviews. I should learn the lesson to just skip the political stuff at the beginning and just go straight to the back of the book. I haven't ever done that with the National Review or the New Republic or anything else. I probably never will. Although, we shall see. Some of the reviews struck me as interesting. So, but I shouldn't have looked at those squibs at the beginning. It stands to reason that as our politics gets more coarsened and rabid, even the writers at the National Review would lose the ability to do this in a civilized way, would lose the ability to do this in an ideological way. Morally, philosophically, and legally, defending a referendum from when Arizona was a territory, a referendum that can have only one philosophy behind it, which is that women are breeding stock. That's it. That's the only philosophy that can possibly have animated that referendum. Women are breeding stock. And you get to push referendums like that through the legislature if women don't get a say in whether or not they are legally characterized as breeding stock. The original provision of that referendum was no abortion at any point in the pregnancy for any reason other than if the pregnancy is going to kill the mother. Not hurt her, not cause her to be infertile, not cause her to bleed for the rest of her life or be in neuralgic pain for the rest of her life. Not anything like that. Just kill her. And why? Because you lose your stock if your stock dies. It wasn't a referendum out of any kind of mercy for women. It was a referendum for the men who owned them. Oh, you're telling me it's illegal for me to have this thing aborted? I'm going to lose my birthing vessel. That's why it was put in there. Just amazing to me. And the fact that it was cheered by the Arizona legislature makes it clear to me, it should make it clear to you, what I've been saying on this channel for a long time now, which is that the revanchist, I don't want to call it conservatism, whatever it is, neo-fascism, whatever it is, this movement that is gaining strength by leaps and bounds in America knows exactly what it wants, and it has bullseyes on the amendments to the Constitution that it doesn't like. And I know so many complacent so-called liberals who think that was Roe v. Wade and that now we're just going to have to battle this out in the courts, but they don't want anything else. That's absolutely not true. They don't want women to have personhood. They don't want women to vote. And they're not at all fond of those little pesky amendments that say you can't have slaves, as several of their legislators have said in 2023 and 2024 in public, in the well of their elected offices. Several of them have said, well, the slaves are mostly happy. Are we sure we want that amendment? Isn't this a states' rights issue? So I really should have skipped right to the back of the book. I'll try to do that next time. But let's move on here. Let's move on to the happier fields of books. Okay, so the first one we have here is a finished copy of some kind. Let's see what we have here. Oh, great. Okay, we saw this already. Great. This is a finished copy of something we've seen already, but not every one of you follows every single thing that I do. You should, but you don't. This comes out, is this a May release? June. This comes out in early June. This is by Henry Wise, and it is Holy City. Am I remember right that this was a debut? Let's see. This is a captivating thriller from debut author Henry Wise about a deputy sheriff who must work alongside an unpredictable private detective after he finds himself on the outs from the sheriff's department over his unwillingness to look the other way when an innocent man is arrested for murder. After a decade of exile precipitated by the tragic death of his mother, Will Seams returns home from Richmond to rural Southern Virginia, taking a job as a deputy sheriff in a landscape given way to crime and defeat. Impoverished and abandoned, this remote land of tobacco plantations, raised forests, and boarded-up homes seems stuck in the past in a state that is trying to forget its complex history and move on. Yeah, so this is early June. I have the advanced copy of this. I haven't got to it, of course. I don't think I'll get to this finished copy either right away. I am a bit behind on April books, and May is right around the corner. May is just a couple of days away. So I'm glad to have the finished copy. There'll be no others, no other kicks in the pants. I will put this on the shelf and get to it in mid-April, or mid-May, rather. All right, this next one is also a finished copy. That's another finished copy here. What have we got here? This is from the folks at Europa Edition. Do we have a date? Oh, also early June. Oh, great. Okay. All right. Great. I talked about this with the publicist. This is a work in translation from the folks at Europa. This is by Valerie Perrin. It's called Forgotten on Sunday, and it's translated from the French by Hildegard Serle. Forgotten on Sunday, hardcover from Europa Editions rather than their French flap paperback originals. Okay, so it's got a ton of blurbs on the cover. That's great. Sounded interesting. Let's see what we have here. Justine is 21 years old and has lived with her grandparents and her cousin Jules since the death of her parents. As a nursing assistant at a retirement home, she spends much of her days listening to her residents' stories. After bonding with Helene, an almost 100-year-old resident, the two women slowly reveal their stories to one another. Whilst Justine helps Helene relive her memories of love and war, Helene encourages Justine to confront the secrets of her own past and the loss she keeps buried within. One day, a mysterious phone detailing a shocking revelation shakes the retirement home to its core. Is that a mysterious phone call? Is that what that's supposed to be? Or did somebody leave a phone there? At once humorous and melancholic, this novel depicts the consequences of undeclared love and, in the author's inimitable way, portrays once again how the past is never really past. Okay, so I'm assuming that Valerie Perrin has written other books? Yes? The name sounds vaguely familiar. She was born in France. She grew up in Burgundy and settled in Paris in 1986. Her novel Forgotten on Sunday won an award. Her English language debut was Fresh Water for Flowers. I do remember that. I think we saw that on this channel. And that also won a prize. All right, well, great. This doesn't come out until early June, so again, I'm not going to get to it immediately because I've got all of May to deal with. I've got to get May. I'm going to bring May to heel. Once I do that, though, that's 2 finished copies, though. I wonder if this third one will also be a finished copy, and also for June, so that we're not getting any bullseyes here. Nothing that's going to go on the list for tonight. Of course, when I'm dealing with mail, I'm often looking at whether or not something is going to be added to the pile tonight, and so far, no. Okay, this next one is late May. This is a May hardcover, but this I've already read, so this is not going on the pile either. So the pile is largely free tonight. Great. This is by Lee Allen Dugatkin, and this is The Well-Connected Animal. I think we saw this as an advance copy. This comes out in late May. It's all about who you know. Whether vampire bats sharing blood meals for survival, field crickets remembering champion fighters, macaque monkeys forming grooming packs after a deadly hurricane, or great tit birds learning how the best way to steal milk, it all pays to be well connected. In this tour of the animal kingdom, evolutionary biologist Dugatkin reveals a new field of study, uncovering social networks that existed long before the dawn of human social media. He accessibly describes the latest findings from animal behavior, evolution, computer science, psychology, anthropology, genetics, and neurobiology, and incorporates interviews and insights from researchers he finds swimming with manta rays, avoiding pigeon poop, and stopping monkeys from stealing iPads. And I can attest, this is fantastic. It should be 3 times as long. This is fantastic. If it had done a little bit less of the aren't I so quirky personality profiles, and a little bit more of the details, it would have been 3 times as long and twice as interesting. I don't think you're going to get to any point in this book where you are, and on every page you're learning something, but I don't think you're going to get to any point in this book where you're learning about macaque monkeys or birds or insects or whatnot, or manta rays, which come up often in these pages. I don't think you're ever going to get to any part like that in this book and do anything other than groan when the author turns back to the quirky antics of the scientists in the lab and what kind of decaf they like. You're just going to groan when he does that, when he makes that. That is a bad decision. It's an unthought out decision. It's the author writing this book and just not willing to admit to himself that one of the 2 strands in his book is much, much more interesting than the other. But still, he manages to make even the human parts interesting. And I guess they are meant to show the omnipresent operations of human social networking as a counterpoint to the networking that he's seeing here. But the key here, the key wonder of this book, the thing that's going to make you wish it were longer, is not what's on the cover. If you read popular science, you are already familiar with communication and network studies being done on other primates, humans and other primates. You won't be so familiar with those studies being done on any other kinds of animals. You'll wish there were more of that in here, and that maybe that were represented on the cover. But I'm very glad to have this. Very glad to have the finished copy. I don't know. I'm thinking that I will reread this, but I'm not. I think that the reread will be much later in the year when I'm going over. In a way, I'm going over the books of the year. So that means that tonight's reading is unmolested by today's mail haul. We have Animal Communication, a work in translation, and a debut novel. All things that I love. And all finished copies, which is great. More finished copies, the better. But nothing that intrudes on tonight's reading. Nothing that I need to do right away. The May releases, 2 of them are June 4th releases. I can handle them in May, and one is one that I've not only already read, but already passed judgment on. So that's good because I have other reading to do, lots and lots of other BookTube related reading to do. So, phew, the night's reading is unmolested unless more mail comes. I think one more delivery is coming today. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.